And good morning. It is 22nd November 23, day before Thanksgiving. There will be no stream or trading for me tomorrow or Friday. Pick it up again on Monday. A little bit late here on the stream. Market is open. There has been a giant pop up overnight and trading up. So we're gap and go at the moment. My expectation was that there would be some responsive selling for profit taking ahead of the holiday, and I still believe that to be the case. So we'll see how the day shakes out. Kind of hard to believe there would be a gap and go going into a holiday weekend after continual up moves, but that seems to be the case. They can't seem to get enough of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 days up in a row with 1, 2, 3, now perhaps 4. Remember, the gap is not above this day, which was Monday. This is caps over Tuesday, which is an inside day. That little thing's called, I believe, handle guys call that a doji or something. Basically, that's the ultimate indecision. They looked up, looked down, couldn't figure out what to do with it after that. So this is my micro composite. These green high volume nodes are pushed to the high volume node area here on the got a definite liquidity jamming in around this high for whatever reason. We're way above pretty much anything I'm looking at level wise. So I am not warm and fuzzy about shorting this thing, except that there is high liquidity standing here at the IB high and nothing below it for a gap and go. And therefore, I'm not going to try to pick a top, and I am not going to argue with what I see, which is context. Pretty hard to argue with that now. Have they got a whole bunch of longs in the market and are going to hammer them later? I would guess that's likely. I can't imagine that there would be a whole lot of long positions left to sit in the market going into a holiday. NQ is already pulling back. So I actually forgot I was streaming here, and I was just engrossed in watching this price action. The epoch migration trades have seemed to be the winners so far today. You can see over here on the Renko is easier to view. One, there's your test, and up you go. I just was looking for responsive selling and a little bit leery that there's that opening swing. So far, we haven't topped the opening swing. In theory, it is the high of the day at this point. So that's saying something. Not getting any follow through on the NQ. It's trying to drop. Right at the moment, we are sitting right on the VPOC, both full session and current session. This is the full session volume profile. This is the current session volume profile. This is what's on the screen. Look at that ledge. My. So in today's context, one would expect you want to stay aligned. You would wait for a pullback, enter long, and trade only longs at the moment. It's kind of hard for me to think about doing. Maybe we're going to get that rotation down, which we do have this liquidity sitting here. And at the moment,
order submitted.
See if we can get something taken out here. VWAP. Mid. That was a very, very late entry. I'm going to see if we can get a scale off ahead of mid here.
Order submitted.
I'm going to bring these two stops. This is kind of not a cardinal sin, but pretty darn close. Oh, that would have taken me out. I was going to move my stop to break even, and I probably should have. Pretty frustrating, but we'll see if we can get some counter rotation here. Past VWAP. Now the trade would have been VWAP to POC long. So I'm a little bit hesitant what to do at this point, except I am on the wrong side of the trade, I believe. I would have expected more of a downdraft. My problem is the late entry. So sick of this timing, trying to take care of all the different aspects around my world at the same time. Hard stop at 10. Local. 15. 15. if we can get some downdraft here. Any targets below? Now we've got the ETH high. Would close the gap in my world. Now I was just ready to pull that set of stops up to the break-even line here, just to avoid a drawdown on the last holiday. And it looks to me like they're fighting over VWAP. I'm thinking they can get some downdraft, but I'm also thinking that this has taken a long time and I'm not liking it. So we moved down to a micro distribution here. We've got a little bit of a high for retail here. We've got our liquidity. If they can pull that liquidity out of the way, then we're going to get downdraft, I believe. 300, they're stacking it. Trade through it, trade through it. There we go. We lift it off. And we're going to hit the mid, which will probably be a bounce.
Order submitted.
Take this scale here if we can get into it. Ahead of the mid would have been the scale. The liquidity riding right on top of me. There they go. Now, we have taken the scale. I'm now going to move my stop to break even, plus a scratch.
Order submitted.
So this is a risk neutral trade. I cannot, at this point, do anything but scratch. That's the beauty of risk neutral. You talk about relaxed. It makes a huge, huge difference in your psychology, in mine anyway. Now, the only problem I have with this trade so far is that I had such a suckwad entry. There we have, whoa, there we have a place where I should have moved my target. Well, that makes me feel a bit better. But by not moving my target down below this area, I gave away 3, 4 points. I'm going to step away for a moment. Be right back. Actually, it looks to me like they're getting ready to try to close this gap. Boy, did I leave a lot on the table. That is really ridiculous. I should have had my stop. This target should have been clear down here around the mids. The problem now is the FOMO to get back into it after the risk neutral scale. So I think I will try to resist that. And we have the IB 30 coming up, except I think the only real that is to very disappointed in myself for not hitting my target down into here, or at least to the overnight POC, and then protecting the profits with a trailing the stop up trade management. That was poor, pretty poor trade on my part. I would have been another wow, I would have been at almost another 10 points in the money here on that trade. That's that ill, actually. Wow. That's pretty. That is pretty darn disappointing there. Out at 70, down now to 62, 63. That's another 7 points. Wow. That's uh, that's really disappointing. But it's how it works, and that's one of the things that happens here. That's how it can happen. I don't know why it's not breaking into the granularity that I want. Now they're going to continue it lower, close the gap, maybe. But at this point, it's a breakout for me. Wow. Very, very disappointing. That would have erased the loss from the last 2 days and have me substantially feeling better going into the turkey day. I'll be right back. Here we are. I got to get the hold music or the be right back music straightened out this weekend. So we had a tap and go, opening swing, pulled back, just poking its nose on the IB30 around closing that gap. Pretty disappointing to me that I left substantial amount of money on the, well, here's my trade, late entry, stop, better, scale and target, and look where we are. I'm damn near 20 points. No, 10 points. Sure. Another 10 points past my scale, my target. And I was just approaching moving this down to this area. I would have actually gone to the overnight POC and then managed the trade with by bringing the stop down to my volume areas behind it, trailing the stop. And this little blast right there took out the target. So snooze, you lose. So instead of being around $1,000 or 20 points, I'm sitting here at 400, which is, you know, not crying over spilled milk, but it is a lesson learned. That's a lesson about trade management. One of the, I think, key things to being running a successful trading business is taking advantage of opportunity and maximizing your opportunity, which I very definitely did not do in this case. And another entry would have been here, test of the open, and high volume, which is a price check while 3, and then sell off again. So, another almost 10 points. We're only 500,000 shares or contracts traded so far. The IB low, IB30 has been taken out. The low of the day, which is right here. So the low of the day, the overnight mid, a whole bunch of stuff happening right there. I'm so disappointed I didn't maximize that profit or that trade. That will definitely be one to replay. And I'm hoping everything's working as it should. I believe so. Darn it. That's a classic case of mismanagement. Mismanagement. And very late entry. At this point now, it's a little bit dicey, in my opinion. NQ, yes. Pretty darn close to closing that. Closing the range gap. Some people figure the gap at settle or close. Settle is 55.5. 51 down here. Right there, settle. Settlement is right there. So this is the previous RTH high. That would actually close the gap by just a couple of ticks. That was an obstacle from yesterday. We have obviously cleaned off this naked volume port of control. See if they can get in this obstacle, and the previous overnight high seems to be a substantial level there. That was definitely a good move, good trade, but could have been better. So that's one that needs trade management. Including entry. Still got some pretty good moves in it. This test of, I don't know what the hell this is. No real level, I guess. But this is when FOMO. Okay, so I have to be thinking about my 10 o'clock. Got another 40 minutes. So yeah, that would have been a nice bounce off the. I guess you could call it the previous high or the RTH low. Sorry, IB low, and the previous RTH high. That would be officially closing the gap. So let's just see where we are now. And that was a good something. We've got approaching the mid and VWAP. Let's see where we are for. So we've got 12,000 contracts at POC. Closest we've got for a POC shift is a 8,800. So got to have another 4,000 contracts down here to get that POC to shift from here to here. Right now, the POC is above. So the standard ELAP or structured trades would be mid VWAP POC. That would be one. But in this context, I think that's a stretch, and I'll point out why. It's today going into a holiday. They did try to close the gap within a tick, but here's a VPOC or volume point of control. Here's the mid, and here's a VWAP. So now if we take that trade from here to here, does that look likely that we're going to cover all of this back up to here? Or are we going to roll over and trade across the trade into yesterday's range? There's no value area because it was kind of a trend, but it was a trend day. But we'll see what happens. These are just the things that I try to consider. I'm trying to articulate and narrate what I normally have going on my inner monologue so that I can understand what I'm thinking as I watch the stream, which is primary purpose for my stream is a video trading journal. So now, what do we have? Context is down, I guess. Hard to say. This is a mixed bag. This is also a strange day. So there's our opening swing. Opening swing low, which is the IB high and IB low. And context is still down, essentially. Don't know what to think about this one. If they're going to get that any lower or not. Probably not. Oh, there you go. Wrong again. There's just so many points along the way, points of interest and points of retail reaction. The overnight point of control, developing value area low. This was a naked point of control in a high volume node from the MC. Overnight mid, and of course the previous regular trading hours high or RTH high, and a big obstacle from yesterday, which is located at a big obstacle from yesterday. The previous high didn't cause the obstacle. Makes any sense? That is just it's real hard not to be, for me, not to be disappointed or judgmental about my trade management when I've left something on the table. That shouldn't matter. It's just one trade, right? And then next, one in the middle of a bunch. That's where that's at. And here we are banging our head on that open. Price check it out. 3. This is the open for today. And the IB is set. So here we are now, and we could be considering the VPOC mid to VPOC. And we're getting some upward help from the NQ. Why this thing won't do? There we go. Sometimes it doesn't do what I tell it to. I get frustrated with it. So, wow, that would have been a nice turn the tanker around moment down there on the lows at around 79. Or even, you want to get real greedy, the lower the day, which is, anybody that tells you they're picking that off every time is lying. Or a hell of a lot more lucky than I am. And looks like we're going to get through this migrated POC or price check and this liquidity and continue to march towards that number, which would be trade in question here is the VWAP POC. If it does that, well, that's great. That's another 10-point move. Well, there you go. So, had you entered somewhere around here, you would be scaled and risk neutral. So then now you let it play out, as demonstrated in the earlier trade, which I completely blew the trade management on. And had I done it properly, I wouldn't even be standing here anymore talking. I would have been doing something else, because I would have had a substantial day under my belt and be happy about it. Not not that I'm unhappy about where I am off one trade, but 2 or 2.5 times that amount would have been the number. Proper trade management. And we are at 39. The IB is set. And we'll see who gets what. And ironically, actually kind of funny at this point, but we're a little bit above the mid just by a tick. So that's mid, meaning exactly the middle. And in this first hour with the IB stat still in place, exactly 50-50 either direction, tick-wise, high or low. And I'm hoping that all things are working okay stream-wise. Looks like that mic is still not quite set right with the OBS, whatever filter story. It still pops into that red. It's supposed to be maintained in the yellow above green, whether it's a whisper, whether it's a loud conversation. And it seems to be working on that loud part. So let's hope it works. Is working, I should say. That's the chat. Okay. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Boom. Okay. So now doesn't seem to be very immediate on the chat. Anyway, wow. So we're tested the mid again, and we're testing that high, the low volume area, right in here. Low volume node. Seems to be a place of interest and rejection. And what have we got here? Well, there was a little liquidity early on. At one point in the game, there was a yes, a micro migrating VPOC was here. The first one, actually. Unless something striking happens, I will not take another trade before the top of the hour here. It's the price check aisle 3. We're at the overnight high. We're at a number. We're at the mid. We're at the VWAP. I've done a trade with poor trade management, but a successful outcome. And unless something changes remarkably, which may do, this could have well been a point of exhaustion in a trade. Here we have 77 stops out. Trades up, tests back to 2 stops. That indicates exhaustion, and then off we go. So, but that's only 2 points. So not exactly a lot of range. stepped away, and I don't know why that had popped in the screen, but that's disappointing. So that was a post to the T-Lab chat, which I find a little easier most of the time off of my trading machine. If I take a snap from Bookmap, because I only have Bookmap on this machine. So that's that. That's the T-Lab or Traders Lab. A guy named Tom B. Very senior professional trader. There's no charge. It's part of the Bookmap Discord chat, and it's called Traders Lab. Highly recommended. It's free. You don't need to be a Bookmap subscriber, but I think pretty much everybody becomes one because that's what the, thrust of conversation and examples. And it's not a trade calling room. It's not any of that. It's just similar people, similar interests trying to do this successfully. Make trading a business. Risk neutral is one of Tom's principles, which I rapidly adapted and absolutely support, promote, whatever you want to call it. Interestingly, my VWAP is at a different spot, or hasn't migrated, or something's happening here. This shows it at about 57, 58, and on my on my IRT, it's at 66. I'm going to refresh data. This is the VWAP, 66 even. Dotted line is mid. Now, let me get rid of that little guy here. The dotted line here is mid. VWAP. This is the full session VWAP. So why this is down here at 56 and on over here we've got it at about 67.75. So I'm going to refresh the data on Bookmap, IRT, which is a real tough thing to do. You go download data, full session, boom, and that's the end of it. And it'll reach out and do that. Downloading historical data in progress. There you go. It's pretty simple. So I would not get involved in this. It's swinging two handles. It may fall out of bed. You never know. And we've just had a VPOC migration down 69 on Something's all screwy here. Missing a good short, incidentally. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Pretty interesting. VWAP remained at 66, however. Yeah, so something's wrong here. Well, we got a good sell-off going, and I missed it completely. This is where FOMO will bite your butt really hard. When you look over, you're doing something else, you look over at this. Well, excuse me. You look over at this, and then you think, oh, ha, jump on. And then it goes, no, you won't. We'll go up and get your stop. Thank you very much. However, it's still making a move down. So there's a pretty disappointed 6 points, 7 points that I should have been on, Mr. I like shorts. Look at that. Lots of selling, and the NQ is leading the way. Of course, NQ is leading the way, and we may get that IB low. Mm. All right, I'm going to have to draw a close to the stream here. It's 56. I got a presentation at the top of the hour. So trade safe. Happy Thanksgiving. If I don't record on Friday or tomorrow or Friday, can't imagine that I will, other than maybe a test. Have a great holiday. Get some rest. Stay away from the screens. Rest your eyes, and pick it up again on Sunday night. Ready for Monday morning, bright and shiny.